Hey, it's Luke John Harrison here. Before we get into this video, make sure please that you like, comment and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Make sure the bell notification icon is on. It only takes 1 second of your day to make mine. Now let's get into it. So I was asked a question the other day on my email list. Some lovely lady said, how can I learn to live with my anxiety and depression? How can I learn to live better with my anxiety and my depression? And I get this question frequently from people who are struggling. And it's an interesting conversation because I myself have struggled with anxiety over the years, brought about a lot by mistakes I'd made, worrying about the consequences, worrying about if my life would get any worse, worrying about things that often never happened, if I'm honest. The anxiety was created from within. I had a time where I was quite depressed. After a really toxic relationship that broke up, I felt guilty, I felt shameful, I felt angry, I felt annoyed, I felt hopeless. And I went through that stage of wondering what's the point? Why fucking bother? And I struggled to deal with that at the time. And I was in my own head. And for the past near 10 years now, I've been on this magnificent journey of self-discovery, of development, of improvement. I've read hundreds of books, I've attended countless courses, I've studied with some of the best in the world on mindset and motivation and things. And one thing that I've come to realize is that anxiety, and even I'd go as far as to say depression, is created from within inside. Like, we don't catch it. It's not contagious in one respect. Like, I'm not going to catch it like I would a virus or a disease. I'm going to create it from within my own thoughts. Now, the evidence to support both sides of this is out there. It's frequent. There's evidence to say there's chemical imbalances in the brain. There's evidence to say that somebody who has been diagnosed with clinical depression has completely reversed their mental health through absolutely natural tactics. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not a counselor. I'm not here to tell you what you should do. I'm here to offer you a perspective that could help you with moving forward. So with that thinking, imagine, and especially with the question that I was asked, like learning to live with my anxiety and my depression. Now, if we think about learning to live with my anxiety, my depression, the language in itself is owning that trait. It's mine. If something's yours, you don't want to let go of it. Let me ask you this. Maybe if you did let go of the anxiety, you did let go of the depression, would you know who you are? Because some people use that as their identity. I'm a depressed person. I'm an anxious person. When if you didn't have those things, maybe you wouldn't get the comfort from other people. Maybe if you didn't have those things, you wouldn't know where to go with your life and you'd be so unsure and uncertain. And those feelings that you have create certainty in your life, so you know at least you know who you are and what you have, what you've created. So just with that perspective and possibly an open-minded way of thinking about it, could it be possible that you could create new thoughts, that you could create new emotions, that you could create a new way of living? And I think one thing at first is learning better, more useful coping mechanisms. And this is another question that I've had several times from people is, I want to learn to cope with my mental health better. And so I say, well, would you admit that you're coping the best way you can with the most useful tactics and strategies? And mostly the response to that will be no. I'm eating too much, I'm isolating in the house, I'm not seeing friends or family or speaking to many people, I'm eating shit, my diet's crap, I don't exercise, and these are not useful ways to manage mental health. In fact, they make it worse. We're trying to sort the self out on our own, we're not seeking other advices and other help in certain ways. That may be a doctor, I'm not here to say whether it should or shouldn't be. It could be a friend, it could be a counsellor, it could be a psychologist, it could be a self-help coach, it could be a book, a coach, a mentor. It could be anything. But one thing I think would be useful for us to be more accepting of is the responsibility we have to manage our own mental health and to manage our own anxiety, to manage our own depression as best as we possibly can. And I think if I was to use a different word than best, I would say as useful as we possibly can. Because many of us can manage it, but it might not be the most useful way to get you to where you say you want to go. And I'd imagine that you probably want to get through your life and progress along the way with a more stable mental attitude, with a more abundant, excited feeling, with a more structured and happier existence. And that is perfectly possible through finding something that works for you, that is useful for you. Now again, disclaimer, I'm not here to say what that is. I'm here to try and open your mind to a new possibility, a new way of thinking, a new experience that could possibly come to light if you are willing to be more open-minded. Because sometimes we can just be very pessimistic. We can as well play the victim. I'm not saying that's everybody, but we all know somebody who's like that. It's always a woe me. It's this is happening to me. It's always happening to me. It's just my luck. And some of these people are choosing to suffer when there is other more useful ways to look at our mental health, our anxiety, our depression, our frustration, our struggles. And for the past 10 years, I've been learning about this. I don't claim to be perfect or the best in the world, but perhaps I can just help you a little bit further. So if this has opened your mind a little bit more, one thing I would suggest is that you go to the link on the screen for a free copy of my audiobook, How to Stop Overthinking, which may help you. If you don't want to do that, you can look down my Facebook or my Instagram timeline, and you can just have a look over the years at the thousands of bits of content that I've wrote for free to help people expand their perspective, change their mindset, value their physical and mental health better, and see things a different way to the usual norm that gets put on us by our peer groups and the media. Because there is new ways of thinking, new ways of operating, and I think if we were to be a little bit more open-minded to how we manage our own situations, we could suffer less and get further forward. And I hope this message hits you where it's supposed to today, to change your mindset a little bit, to make you a little bit more open-minded. And maybe you know somebody who today could do with these words, could do with this perspective shift, and could possibly do with the message that I'm trying to put here, and that is one of service and help in a little bit of a different variety than what you may be particularly used to hearing. I appreciate your time today, and I wish you an absolutely fantastic day. I'll see you soon.